What if I told you that the mightiest warrior in Greek mythology, feared by armies, loved by gods, and unmatched on the battlefield, was defeated by something no bigger than a thumb? Today, we dive deep into the legend of Achilles, the man, the myth, the warrior undone by a single, tragic weakness. This is not just a story of war, it's a tale of destiny, glory, betrayal, and the fine line between immortality and mortality. Stay with us, because this isn't the version you learned in school. In the golden age of myth, before heroes were bound to parchment and papyrus, a child was born under the light of a burning sky. His name was Achilles, and even as a newborn, the fates whispered restlessly about him. He was not just any child, he was the son of Thetis, a sea nymph with divine blood, and Peleus, a mortal king of Thessaly. From the moment of his birth, the world seemed to bend slightly in his direction. Thetis, desperate to protect her son from the cruel twist of mortality, performed an ancient and sacred ritual. On a night when the stars blinked like watchful eyes, she dipped the infant Achilles into the River Styx, the river that flowed between the world of the living and the dead. Its waters, icy and eternal, were said to grant invincibility. But in her haste, Thetis clutched him tightly by his heel. That one spot, where no water touched, remained human, soft, and vulnerable. She said nothing of this to anyone. And why would she? What were the odds that a godlike warrior could be felled by a wound to his heel? When Achilles was still a boy, an old prophet visited the halls of King Peleus. His eyes were clouded with time, but his voice was sharp. The child is destined for greatness, the prophet said, but he must choose a long life of obscurity or a short life of eternal glory. The room fell silent. Thetis wept. Peleus looked away. Achilles, young though he was, stood tall. Glory, he whispered, not fully knowing what it meant, but feeling its fire stir within him. And so, the path was set. Achilles was sent to the mountains, far from the distractions of court and comfort, to be trained by the centaur Chiron, the wise and immortal mentor of many heroes. Under Chiron's tutelage, Achilles learned the art of war, music, healing, and even philosophy. But above all, he learned how to fight. He could wield a spear with the strength of 10 men, run faster than wild deer, and wrestle lions to the ground. Other boys played with sticks and dreams. Achilles carved his legend from stone and sweat. And yet, Chiron noticed something else. The boy was not just powerful, he was restless. Like a flame that never dimmed, Achilles burned with questions. What is the meaning of honor? Is destiny fixed? Can a man become a god? The centaur offered only riddles. Achilles, unsatisfied, waited for war. War came not with the sound of marching boots, but with an apple. At the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, all gods were invited, except Eris, the goddess of discord. Offended, she threw a golden apple among the guests, inscribed with 3 simple words: to the fairest. What followed was chaos. Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite each claimed the apple. They demanded Paris, a Trojan prince, judge who among them was the fairest. Each goddess offered him a gift. Hera promised power, Athena offered wisdom, and Aphrodite offered the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta. Paris chose Aphrodite. Helen was taken from her husband, Menelaus, and thus began the Trojan War. Knowing that Achilles' fate was tied to Troy, that he would find glory there, but not return, Thetis tried to hide him. She disguised her son as a girl and sent him to live on the island of Scyros, among the daughters of King Lycomedes. But fate is not easily fooled. Odysseus, the cunning Greek general, suspected the truth. He came to Scyros dressed as a merchant, offering gifts, fine fabrics, perfumes, and weapons. While the girls giggled over silk, one daughter reached for a sword. Achilles was revealed. The war was calling, and he answered. When Achilles arrived at the shores of Troy, the sand itself seemed to shimmer in anticipation. Among the 1,000 ships of the Greek army, his stood out, not just for the crimson sails or the golden armor, but because of the man who stood at its helm. Even the greatest kings, Agamemnon, Odysseus, Nestor, Diomedes, could feel the presence of something more than mortal. Achilles brought with him a small, elite force, the Myrmidons, warriors trained in silence, speed, and loyalty. They followed only one man, not for his bloodline, but for his unmatched bravery. And though Agamemnon was commander of the Greek forces, everyone knew Achilles was their sharpest blade. As the siege wore on, tensions frayed. Raids, ambushes, and battles drained both sides. But the Greeks' fiercest weapon was increasingly distant, the spark that ignited the conflict. A woman named Briseis. During a raid on a Trojan allied town, Achilles claimed Briseis as his war prize. But Agamemnon, wounded by pride and ego, demanded her for himself after being forced to return his own prize, Chryses. Achilles was outraged. "You think because you wear a crown you command me? I am not your servant. You steal my honor and expect me to fight for you?" And with that, Achilles withdrew from the war. The might of the Greeks dimmed. Without Achilles, the tides turned. Without their champion, the Greeks suffered. Hector, prince of Troy and commander of its armies, led a devastating assault on the Greek camps. His strategy was bold, his courage undeniable. He wasn't just fighting to defend a city, he was fighting for his people, his wife Andromache, and his newborn son. Hector burned Greek ships, broke their lines, and pushed them to the edge of defeat. Meanwhile, Achilles sat by the sea, silent, watching. His heart roared with conflict, fury at Agamemnon, pity for the suffering Greeks, and an ache in his soul he didn't understand. The only one who could reach him was Patroclus. Patroclus had always been more than a companion. He was Achilles' confidant. His balance, the echo to his storm. Seeing the Greeks falter, Patroclus made a desperate plea. "Let me wear your armor. Let the Trojans think you've returned. They'll retreat." Achilles hesitated, but relented, with one condition: do not pursue Hector. Return once they flee. Dressed in the hero's golden armor, Patroclus rode into battle like a blazing sun. The Greeks rallied. The Trojans panicked, but the disguise held only so long. In the dust and chaos, Hector confronted him, thinking he faced Achilles. The duel was swift and brutal. Patroclus fell, whispering Achilles' name with his last breath. News of Patroclus' death hit Achilles like a storm breaking upon stone cliffs. He screamed, not just in pain, but in rage, grief, guilt. The sky darkened. The waves crashed. He wept. Then he rose. No more silence. No more sitting in tents. He would return to battle, not for honor, not for kings, but for vengeance. He forged new armor, crafted by Hephaestus, god of the forge. It gleamed with divine fire. His shield bore the story of the world, of peace, of war, of birth and death. It was a weapon and a prophecy. The next morning, Achilles re-entered the war. The Greeks had their fury back.